Just got a notification that Paranormal Help's live.
Yep.
I'm going to like and share. And so should you.
Is your volume muted?
It is. Nick Woodman in the house.
Hey, Nick. Hello, Beverly.
She made it. Are we on the big screen? Give me a moment. She
That
made
was
it.
scary, Nick. We're going to wait a minute or so to let some folks hop on. Put my phone on charge while.
Yeah, Nick, gobble gobble does seem a little bit more appropriate today. Although I have to admit, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older with the kids being all as old as they are now. It just didn't really feel like Halloween to me this year. What about you? You really don't pay attention to Halloween,
No.
do you?
Not really.
Yeah, if we go around door to door asking for candy, the law gets called, so it's not as fun anymore for us.
What?
Just watching the delay.
Yeah.
It was crazy a second ago because when I first brought it up and I hit play, I saw me, and then when it caught up, you appeared in the picture.
Like a ninja.
Like a ninja.
Can y'all hear us okay?
All the sounds good, y'all?
Beverly's decided, so am I decided to
You decided because Beverly here.
Beverly Hill.
This episode sponsored by Coke. Not
No,
really. Not
no
really.
sponsor.
No sponsor. Yet. But if you want a sponsor, we're cool.
Just tell us you want to sponsor and we'll announce that you are sponsoring us.
Yeah. Sound is wunderbar, Nick says.
I'm the moderator.
Oh yeah, you are, aren't you? Well, during this time frame,
Get in your lane.
while I'm waiting on the live to start, I like playing in the chat room. But anyway, back to the whole sponsorship thing. You know, if you want to sponsor us and we announce that you're sponsoring us, then the next time we order team jackets, we'll get a patch and put your name on it. It'll look like NASCAR.
Yeah. Won't cost you a thing.
Just have your name on it. I mean, Nick's name will be on it automatically because he coined the Guestigator name.
You should have a complimentary tee.
Do we have any more of those? Mm-hmm. Nick, what's your t-shirt size? And I'll get you one.
Whatever your t-shirt size is, we probably don't have it.
Unless you're a small or a 4X, then we're out of luck.
Nothing in between. Never. Anywhere you go.
We can give one of them to one of the kids.
I still have some totes.
Do we have an XL?
I don't know. I have to look.
We'll check it out. And then you and I have got to arrange a pickup.
Is that what you want me to do now?
No, you don't have to do it right now. You're just trying to get off camera.
Hey!
This can't be
Found me out.
He's in the middle of the small and the 4X. Good call, sir.
I can't remember what sizes we have.
I have misplaced my notes. Hold on one second.
Oh, great.
Well, when I tabbed over, I closed it out, but fortunately, I saved everything beforehand.
Yeah,
All right.
that's from a lesson learned.
You got that right. Okay, so it is November 1st. First day of November. Halloween was yesterday.
1-1-2-1.
So there are a lot of holidays today. So I'm going to let Leah pick which one is her favorite from my screen right here.
Beverly, we have t-shirts if you go on an investigation with us, but I do have totes. I'll hook you up.
We'll get you a tote. These are the holidays of today, so pick one that is your favorite.
You should let me look at this ahead of time.
I'm sorry. It's a substantial list.
National Family Literacy Day.
So it's all about getting your family to read.
Because I love books.
Same. It's also National Authors Day, which I think kind of goes hand in hand with that. Of course, on a odder note, it is National Cook for Your Pets Day. So if you're one of those people.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I love our animals, but
I don't have the time
no.
to cook.
Oh, it's National Vinegar Day.
Unless
too.
there's something left over. Does that count? If there's leftover food and you feed it to them, does that count?
Yeah. I cooked this chicken for you.
You did say otter note. Was that on purpose? He don't even know he did it, Nick.
On an otter note?
He didn't even know he did it.
I probably did say it. What did Nick say?
On an otter note.
An otter note?
Otter note.
Oh. I guess I meant to say otter, like O-D-D-E-R, not otter.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Don't they swim?
No. What was that? No. That's not how you did it. Okay.
All right, whatever. I'm even getting judgment from over here.
Well, shouldn't you?
Right.
Get Ray.
Ray is sitting over here to my side, just like, what are you talking about, man?
Her rear end will show up on the video for sure
That's
before the night's up.
That's
And here we go.
Here she comes. Here comes.
It wouldn't be an episode without a cat's rear end.
There it is.
It's made its appearance. Yes. Thank you.
Come on, little girl. Let's get out of here. All right.
Okay.
On to our topic.
Oh,
So the
we just already discussed like investigations last time, didn't we?
yeah, we haven't surprisingly. Oh well, you did bring something to mind that we probably need to discuss. We surprisingly did not have as many calls this year as we normally would have between now and Halloween, which I'm going to take it as a positive because
It'll be after Halloween.
it'll be after Halloween.
When
yeah.
everybody's done things for Halloween.
Correct. We do need to add one little caveat, and it's something that we've always kind of followed, but I don't think we've properly advertised it. But we're doing so now, especially on our Facebook Messenger. I will adjust our phone voicemail to say the same thing. But in order for us to be able to deal with a client, engage
in conversation or anything, if it goes further than that,
right, you need to be 18 years of age
or
older. If you're having a situation in your home and your parents are, like it's a home you live in with your parents, then your parents or legal guardian or someone needs to be the one to reach out to us. We, under no circumstances, for legal reasons and safety reasons, can we deal with someone, under the age of 18, especially if they're living with their parents, because we don't know if they're contacting us on the parents' behalf or what, because we don't want to show up at somebody's door and get chased off by a shotgun because we're not supposed
Well,
to be
there's a
there.
couple of reasons. One reason being, of course, you would be a minor if you're under 18. Second reason is your parents or whomever owns the home, they are the authority in that home. So, I mean,
Correct.
there's not really anything that we could do to help without the authorities' consent and participation. You know, this, especially the way that we handle the paranormal, it's a lot about gaining back that authority in your home, taking back your home, and I mean, if you're under somebody else's authority within that home, then that skews the hierarchy. So,
and it's absolutely, I mean, looking at it from that perspective, it's nothing personal. It's just, we have to, you know, it's, you don't have the authority in the home, your parents do. So I just wanted to get that out there and make sure that we're advertising that properly, because I think we didn't do such a good job of it in the past, and we're noticing an increase here lately of people reaching out that are, you know, under that age bracket that we can actually deal with.
Not that you don't have legitimate concerns.
Oh, absolutely.
You may, but that is also another thing, is you need to let your parent or guardian or whomever know about that. You know, it's important to talk to those people.
Absolutely.
About what's going on with you. And also, I mean, if they're experiencing it as well, you know, it's going to just help the family unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what the enemy wants to do is divide the family. So.
And if you're experiencing anything, talking about that, I mean, it wants to put you in isolation. So the one thing that, depending on the strength of whatever you're dealing with, if it's weaker, then just simply talking about it to your parent or guardian will take care of the issue on its own a lot of times. So,
right.
Because they want to keep you in isolation, and if you take away that factor, then of course they have nothing else to get at you with. And we just know about that personally in our own home too, so.
Yeah. We have a son under the age of 18. All right. Did I cover all that? Is there anything else
I don't think so.
Okay. So on to the topic. So if you
What
look,
is our topic?
so the topic is good being used for evil.
What do you mean, Mike?
What do I mean, Leah? So let me start with a verse from the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 20. It says, "Woe unto them that call evil good, and good evil, and that put darkness for light, and light for darkness, and that put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter." So where this kind of stemmed from was a podcast that Leah and I had both listened to at different times. She listened to it first, then sent it on to me. And there was several topics in it that were very, very interesting. And this one part of it, because it was an hour something long podcast, so there was a lot of stuff to cover, but there was a piece of it that spoke to me that I felt like I wanted to share with our public at large. Public at large. How many of them are watching? All three of them.
And we appreciate you so
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with Halloween having been yesterday, a lot of people want to talk about, is it, if I'm a Christian or I'm God-fearing or whatever, is it okay for me to celebrate Halloween? And the question is, it's kind of a gray area, because, Halloween, it's a holiday that's packaged in such a kid-friendly way, candy, costumes, candy, parties, candy, games, candy. I mentioned candy? Okay. So the whole point being is, it's packaged up in just this nice little cutesy ribbon. Everybody sees our children out there dressed up in different costumes. Logan went as Peter Pan one year when he was 6 or 7. We still got pictures. We'll show him on live one time when he's actually on here. He was young.
Yeah, he wasn't that old.
Was it? Well, maybe he was 4 or 5. I don't remember. It's been so long ago. But we dress them up, we take them out, we get candy, they go bobbing for apples. We as adults may get together and have a party, with some friends and some food. And there's all this innocence to it, which I'm not knocking anybody that does any of that. There is nothing wrong with that. If you're having an opportunity, and I know some churches get together and do fall festivals,
trunk or treats.
Yeah, they do, get out and have a cookout. And I think the example in the podcast we listen to is all your friends come over dressed as Seinfeld characters, and you have food and fellowship, that kind of thing.
We did the Bible characters.
Yeah.
Things like that.
I remember instead of having a Halloween party, we had what was at our church. It was called a Hallelujah party, and I went dressed as King Saul. I remember
We'll just let that sit.
Well, no, but to that point, I remember the guy that walked by that was Moses, and his outfit was really, really cool. But he also carried the 10 Commandments, but it was a piece of a cinder block, like the corner of a cinder block, and he had written the 10 Commandments on it with a Sharpie.
Hey, whatever works.
But this was the 80s, guys. What could we do back then? It might not even been a Sharpie. It was probably a Sir Marks-a-Lot. But anyway, I'm getting distracted, as always. So there's this level of innocence to it, but there's a potential darker side to this as well. What needs to be careful is what Halloween is actually about. I mean, if you get into the root of what Halloween is and where it's rooted, that's where the problems start. And I've covered this in the past, but I'm going to give a quick review. Halloween falls on the Celtic holiday of, it's pronounced Samhain, but Samhain. Spelled Samhain. It's a day it was believed that the dead come back to the land of the living. It was the last day of their year. November 1st would be the first of the year, All Saints Day, which would be today in the pagan religion. And therefore it was the veil was thinnest on October 31st, and they believed they could commune with the spirits and learn knowledge and things of the future. Ooh. So here we're going into, what modernism, what you would know as psychics, mediums, necromancy, which means speaking to the dead. So what the Druids and the Celts in that time would do is they would go into trances and they would try to learn knowledge about the future and about things, even the present, from these spirits of those that had passed on. Now, I've also talked, and I know Leah has discussed it many times in the lives that she's done, that true knowledge comes from God. Proverbs 2:6 says, "For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." I thought you were about to say something. It was your mouse clicking. So
what? Oh,
that was my mouse clicking too. Yeah. So throughout the Bible, we see where God reveals his mysteries to his people, and everything is revealed in due time. Everything's not all revealed at once. I mean, like even when Christ was born and whenever his ministry started, he would talk about, it not being his time yet. It not being his time, he was not to be revealed as the Messiah just yet. So everything
Could you imagine if everything was revealed at once?
Mind-blowing.
No way. Mm-mm.
So everything, like I said, we're supposed to lean on God for understanding, for knowledge, and for wisdom. Speaking to the dead, however, and attempting to find knowledge, you're going outside of God's plan, and you're going down a different path. You're going down a darker spiritual path. People begin to speak to fortune tellers, psychics, and those that can communicate with the dead, and that's where they're trying to get their knowledge instead of from God. And I've mentioned this before, the word occult comes from a word meaning secrets. So Halloween unfortunately has a dark history, a dark past that is origin that is tied to occultic and pagan beliefs. And this is the trap that people can fall into. It is, like I said, in its most innocent form, it's just a festival to dress up, get candy, and have fun. But the darker side of it, you're looking at the origins, divination, necromancy, and rituals. And people, that get curious want to get involved in things. They see movies and they think, wow, this would be something fun to try, because, you know, you always hear people talk about, you know, oh, we want to do this when the veil is at its thinnest, or, you know, at the equinox.
They sell
and all this.
Ouija boards at toy stores. So, I mean, there's that.
Like I said, you just covered part of that for me. I mean, you want to talk about good being used for evil. It's marketed as a kid's toy. It's marketed as a board game by a board game making company. And yet there's people out there that will tell you that it is harmless and that it's a game, but...
And you don't even have to use a board. You can just do your own makeshift board in any medium. I see what I did there.
Yeah, I did. So, the...
Paranormal humor.
The outlook, you know, where it comes from doesn't matter. I mean, it's, you know, Bloody Mary, that game. What are some of these? We were watching something the other day. The Candyman. Charlie is something that they do now with the crisscrossed pencils.
I don't know that one.
It was on one of the. It was on a show we watched. You lay pencils like this, and you write a square and do like yes or no questions, and when you ask it, the pencil turns. Pendulum, we all know it's kind of a basis on that. All this stuff is, you know, in its purest form, just it's a game kids play. But that's the trap of the enemy, because let's go back to that whole the biggest lie the devil will tell you is he doesn't exist. It's also one of the most dangerous lies that the devil tells, is because if we think he doesn't exist, then we think that these things
there's no risk.
There's no risk whatsoever. And in our own morality, you know, flawed human morality, we think, it's okay. I know it's wrong, but there's no repercussions. There's no repercussions to that.
A lot of people don't know what's wrong. It's just, you know, dependent on your background.
Right. But one of the things that I'm lifting this kind of directly from the podcast, and this podcast was done by the Ramp Ministries. It was entitled Halloween, Harry Potter, and Holy Living. It's on YouTube, so if you want to check it out, I recommend it. Leah might be able to pull it up and post the link in the chat. But this part I'm kind of lifting because this meant quite a bit to me. It says when we start to cultivate Halloween stuff into our personal lives, we can start tapping into darker things, because a lot of people, you know, they like what's the word I'm looking for? Flora and fauna of it. You know, people like to put up the skulls and the bats and all that stuff. The decorum, I guess, was the word.
Well, we're naturally drawn to things that are dark, or the mystical, or the unknown, or you know, or if you're an adrenaline junkie, things that can happen. But I mean, because we are flesh and we were born into sin, so our human nature is typically or usually drawn towards things that are dark in nature, just until you have that life change.
Right.
From salvation.
Actually, if I can remember, there's something else I want to talk on involving that, but I want to hold off on it for just a second. So let me see, where was I? Yeah, so you start getting that stuff into your life. It becomes a form of dedicated idolatry, worshiping of an idol. Anything can be an idol. You know, if I loved Coke so much that I was putting it at a high place in my life, that I was putting it before God, this could be an idol in my life. So that's just a quick little example there. But with the Halloween stuff, it can be used as a way to transition into a darker realm with its shiny, fun packaging. We have known of cases, and I've read about cases where people have gotten into things of a darker nature thinking it was all fun. That, like I said, they like the decorum, but they find items that they've obtained have been dedicated to dark powers or have a curse placed upon them. I talked here a few lives ago about cursed objects. And sometimes some of these things that you get, even though, it's like, oh, it's just a Halloween decoration, you don't know what kind of verbiage or words have been spoken over that before it comes into your home. I mean, I've made it a habit, if I buy anything secondhand, I pray over it and bless it before it comes in my house, because you don't know who had it and what was done with it beforehand. That was weird. Something's trying to get in. Do I need to go check the door?
No. Continue.
Okay. I bought two antique cameras for Leah as part of our anniversary back in August. And before I left the parking lot of the location that I had bought those, I prayed over them and declared that if there was anything that had been spoken over, if those cameras had been used for anything that was, considered not of God, I was pleading the blood of Jesus over it. So
That's weird. There was nothing over there.
Yeah, I just do that as a fail-safe to make sure that nothing comes into our home. But when you've got things that are, made to be, sometimes even just the aspect of them being created in the imagery of something that's dark, you can go to Hobby Lobby, or not Hobby Lobby, what's that other store you like? At home, and you can buy these goblets that look like they're made out of bones and stuff like that. And as cool as they look, again, you got to consider what it is that they represent, in reality. So
I posted that podcast.
Okay, cool. But there are lines that can be crossed into darker realities without even realizing it. And again, it's done in pure innocence. Go ahead.
Sometimes.
And I'm leaning on the positive. There are, sometimes it's intentional.
So we're not even addressing intentional stuff. This is just completely, just to be cautious.
Go ahead. If you want to discuss it, that's fine. I'm just talking about, the whole point of this being is how, it's, if I were to wrap this whole thing up in a nutshell, it's just talking about how, not just Halloween's kind of the basis with it having been yesterday, but you can take something that is evil and put a nice shiny wrapper on it and make it look good.
Well, sure, you don't.
And then you fall.
If it's pure evil, you're not going to be like, oh, I want that.
But there's people that would.
But we're addressing
We're addressing the end, yes.
Yeah. But with anything that is God's creation or godly or anything like that, there is always a counterfeit.
Oh, yeah.
So you just got to be mindful and aware of those things.
Yeah. So this is going to kind of be my segue, and I've already talked about them once. And Leah and I have had this conversation many, many times. I'm not sure if we've brought it on the air before. So, surprise, here comes a conversation for you.
Oh, boy.
I want to say my favorite. When I say my favorite, I don't mean as in like, ooh, I love it. I mean as in it is like the most prevalent example that I can share of good being used for evil. And no offense to anybody out there before I start this, but mediums. Okay. You see them all over television. There's multiple television shows, current and past, that have dealt with the topic of mediums and spiritual conversations. Talking with loved ones.
Mediums and psychics.
Correct. Talking with loved ones from the other side. Now, me being the skeptic that I am, some of them I think are complete bunk.
And that's true.
However, there are some that I believe have a gift. Mm-hmm. However, I believe that good gift has been wrapped and is being used for evil purposes, but it's keeping that semblance of good out there because, they're getting news from their lost loved ones, or, they're they're in pain and they're being comforted by these words, from their parents or child or someone that has passed on. And it looks good because they're receiving, comfort and, balance back into their life. But have you ever noticed that there's nothing shared that's not already known? And this is the topic you always bring up. Because the enemy can't see the future. The only thing he knows is his future is going to be in the lake of fire, per the book of Revelation. So the enemy knows where he's going to end up. He knows nothing else of your future, my future, or what have you. Only God can see that. So anytime that that mediums that are getting their spirit guides or spirit familiars information, it's always something that's already known. What your loved one's name is, what they died from, what their birthday is. They'll give him, what's an example? They'll...
On my way over here, I was having a discussion with my spouse or child and said that I'll know that we are talking to the one that has passed if they bring up this locket in my hand, or if they bring up the time that it was only us together. So I know that if they bring that up, then it's really them that I'm talking to. Well, one thing that, and you'll notice, if they are a true, authentic psychic medium, okay, then their information comes from past events, from things that happened. I mean, even things that happened like just 2 seconds ago. It's all in the past. It's been said, it's been communicated, it's happened.
It's known.
It's known. They witness events throughout your whole life. And so it's, if you haven't noticed that yet and you watch these shows, or if you're around someone that is a psychic or a medium and they discuss those things and they bring in that touching moment of, okay, so your lost, or your loved one that has passed, they want me to bring up something about a locket. Well, and then, the person that's there is like, oh, they brought up the locket, so I know it's them. That was special to us, or we got tattoos, or, whatever. And they're operating from that place. So don't be fooled by that. And typically, if you go see a psychic or a medium and they have revealed these things, these known things to you to try to prove that you're talking to your loved one, be very careful, because what I typically have seen is that just draws a hunger and a desire to go see them over and over, or I'm going to go to this one and see what they have to say, or I'm going to go to this one. It's going to be enough to keep you intrigued, to keep you interested, to want to continue to talk to your loved one that has passed. And that goes into that necromancy, where you're trying to talk to the dead. There's been several times where we have been around individuals that have felt like they were talking to someone that has passed, and come to find out, once confronted, that entity is confronted, then they're just taking on a persona, or if the person who is, like, for instance, if they're in a Ouija board session, okay, and they're wanting to talk to their grandma or grandpa or whoever has passed, and they're like, oh, I want it to be them. Well, it's going to pose itself as them, so you'll continue to communicate. And then you'll want to do it more and more. Well, if I can talk to my grandma or grandpa, then, hey, maybe I can talk to my buddy, that passed early in life, or whatever. It leads you down a dark rabbit hole.
And instead of getting your knowledge from God and leaning on Him like you're supposed to, you're being pulled away in this different direction.
When you're continually looking at the past for your comfort and your healing, then you're going to end up like Lot's wife. And if you know that story, she continued to look to the past She looked at the, back at the city, and she was turned into a pillar of salt. So there was no healing, there was no restoration, there was no life after that moment. You have to continue to look forward, look to God for your healing, for that restorer of peace, and don't continue to look back or try to communicate to those that are not here with us anymore.
Have you ever noticed how the enemy always tries to keep you in the past, keep you in condemnation over your past sins?
You can't move forward. And you feel like you're getting healing, but no, all you're doing is you're getting a desire and a need to continue to talk to that person or other people. So you're not moving on from anything. You're staying stagnant.
But that's how the enemy gets a foothold into your life. And then instead of consulting the Holy Spirit, you're consulting Mistress Cleo.
And just, not just to harp on that, but folks that feel like they have something in their home and they're continually recording. Like, we've had several people that have contacted us over the years where they have, a whole library of video recordings, audio recordings, all this stuff that's going on in their own home, and they're just obsessed with it. It becomes an obsession. And so they're not able to live. They're so busy staying in the realm of the dead.
Nick, while you were talking, I was checking the chat. Nick makes a valid point. Says they only have to get stuff right now and then.
Yeah. Once you're drawn in, then
you'll make excuses while they're raw. I was like, that must have been an off day, or the planets weren't in a line.
Or maybe
right.
And even the psychic or the medium themselves will try to blow it off. Or, okay, maybe that hasn't happened. It's somebody with the letter C is going to come, into your life, and then here's, what's going to happen with that. And a lot of that power of suggestion.
And that one, I've seen that one to a level of ridiculousness where it's like, she'll say the numbers, the letter C. I'm like, well, this guy just came into my life. His name's George Smith. There's not a C in his name, but wait a minute.
I bet his middle name starts with a C.
No, but wait a minute. He was in the Navy and his rank was captain.
That's it.
There it is.
We have... Oh, heavens. We have been on investigations where, using those crazy communicator devices, yes, they're, fun and entertaining, but sometimes you can get too caught up in trying to connect dots that are nowhere near being connected. Like, you'll have rabbit. Tuesday, dinner. Like, are you having rabbit for dinner on Tuesday? We're like, just stop.
And it's the human. It's.
We're trying to make sense of everything
because that's how our brains are wired. And it's almost, there's a word for it, and I can't remember what it is, but it's like when you look at the front end of a car, everybody pictures a face because of the headlights and the way the grill. It's just because your brain is wired to try to recognize faces and things that you would recognize, hence the reason people see faces in pixelation, smoke, smudges on mirrors. You hear things
in audio thinking it says something, and there's a lot of times I've listened to audio and I'm like, well, how in the world did you get that it said that?
I was going to say...
It's not even nowhere near.
Not knocking anybody, but 90 to 95% of when you're hearing somebody's EVP, and then they show you what they think it said,
you're going to hear it.
But 90 to 95% of the time, I'm like, that's not the first thing I heard. They'll play it, and then they'll play what they heard, and I'm like, that's not what I heard. But then I start thinking, well, maybe.
And then you rewind it, and then you listen, oh, I hear that. So I try to, whenever they pop up the words, not even read what those words are. I look away to try to really listen, and I'm like, I don't think so.
And that's why any evidence we've ever posted, I don't put what I think we heard. I'm just like, tell me what you think you hear. Because...
And even with that, and I'm going to say this, just to play devil's advocate. Yes, the power of suggestion, absolutely. Um, is sometimes it doesn't present itself the same to everybody. There was a case that Mike was not there, but I was there. There was several women and a couple of men in the group, and we were in this room, and we were doing a EVP session, and there was the women in the group noticed that there was this light on. I think it was our EMF detector or something.
Wasn't it a K2?
Could be. I don't know the difference. That's Mike's arena.
K2 EMF. It's the same thing for all intents and purposes.
And so
why is it moving?
I don't fix it because you're hitting it with the table.
No, there's a cat.
And anyway, so the females in the group, the light was moving. I even recorded it, and the light was lifting up off of the bed that it was laying on and moving over here and then drifting over here and then settling back down. It was just moving all over the place, and I even recorded it. I had a stationary camera, and you could see it on the recording. Well, I messaged the recording to Mike. Were you able to view it right away? I can't remember.
No, it took a little bit to download.
Okay. The men in the room, it wasn't moving at all. And we're like, oh, we swear we see it moving. We're not crazy. It's moving. And all the females saw it. And then all the men are like, y'all are nuts. It's not moving. The light hasn't moved anywhere. And so when we would send it to males that were not there, just saying, tell me what you see. For the males, it wasn't moving. And any females we texted it to, it was moving. So it doesn't always present itself in the same way. So same thing with audio, perhaps, that it's only presented to a specific person, maybe audibly. It's not maybe for everybody.
Let me also go on a scientific kick here, or even cultural. How can we always be so confident that they're always speaking English?
Well,
and I'm not just talking about demonic languages. You and I have heard them, but
okay, I was about to say.
I'm talking, German, just like cultural languages,
sure.
How can we as Americans be so arrogant that we think the dead only speak English?
And that demons only speak Latin?
Correct. I actually did have another verse.
Or backwards.
Right. I've got actually got another verse here that goes hand in hand with the topic of mediums. It's in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verses 16 through 18. Paul had a struggle with a medium, of course. It says, now it happened as we went to prayer that a certain slave girl possessed with a spirit of divination met us, who brought her masters much profit by fortune telling. This girl followed Paul and us and cried out, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God, who proclaimed to us the way of salvation. And she did this for many days. So here we have, again, the example of somebody with this spirit of divination, and they're speaking truth. I mean, you would think it would be a good thing. Truth. You think it would be a good thing that she's announcing these men as men of God. But if you go further along in the chapter, it talks about how Paul was exceedingly annoyed by this, because exceedingly annoyed.
That's how I get at work all the time. Exceedingly. Annoyed.
He felt something was wrong.
Yeah.
And finally, he cast this spirit out of this woman, and then the spirit of divination. So that at that point, she was no longer able to do this, and was no longer able to make her masters money, which exceedingly annoyed them.
Yeah.
So that's that. There's that another example of if it looks like it's all painted up, all nice and good, but it's coming from the wrong place and from the wrong mouth, so to speak. It's a Dobby. What I was going to cover, you had mentioned it, and I want to come back on it when you were talking about the way people were inclined to be drawn towards darker things. I had someone tell me once, and I think it makes a lot of sense. he was trying to explain like my penchant for my nerdy ways, like, you know, my Star Wars obsession and stuff like that. He said, he asked me one time, he goes, do you watch Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, stuff like that? And I'm expecting severe judgment for this. I'm like, yeah, I do. And he said, well, he goes, I can tell you why you watch those things. And he said, it's because the Holy Spirit, you know, is manifest in your life, wants to be manifest in your life. And you, as a creation of God, are drawn, you're going to see Loki here in just a second, are drawn to things that are spiritual, because we, as creations of God, we hunger for what only God can provide for us.
Are you serious?
I know, Loki, go on.
We're going to be like a cat channel. Sorry.
But we yearn for those things that only God can provide. That's why, you know, people end up in addictions. People end up, because they're not going where they should. People end up in bad relationships because they don't know the relationship with the Father. Things like that. So I feel like that some people have a propensity for spiritual things because they are looking for the Spirit of God, but they're being drawn the wrong way. Because we have that draw for something spiritual. And unfortunately, we take, and here's the other flip side of this, we take what we know of spirits, ghosts, and stuff like that, and then we try to tack that definition onto the Holy Spirit. And that's just not the case at all. Loki, are you enjoying the live? Extreme close up.
Oh man. In the screen you see all the fuzzes on him. Come here. So this is to this move. So this live tonight is to help launch our new channel for a Crazy Cat Lady.
All cats, all the time.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just, it's a distraction. No.
It is.
But no, like I said, you know, we as creations of God, we're drawn to the Holy Spirit. We're drawn to things of the spiritual because we want to have that spiritual connection with God, and then we try to, unfortunately, get it from places that are not of God.
What do y'all think?
I will close with this, because we've done a lot of talking about using
Nick,
agreed. Using good for evil, but can God use evil for good? He has before.
Absolutely.
Genesis 50:20. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive. This is coming from Joseph when he was talking to his brothers in Egypt. Whenever he is second in command to Pharaoh, he was blessed the whole time he was in Egypt. He had a lot of things he had to overcome, but in the end he came out blessed. He was thrown into a pit, you know, by his brothers. They tore and bloodstained his multicolored coat, and they sold him into slavery. I mean, that's as nasty as you can get. But God used that entire moment to bless Joseph while he was in Egypt, and then bring the families back together and give a place for the children of Israel to stay during that time frame. So we've all seen the meme, Noah was a drunkard, David was an adulterer, Paul was a murderer, Peter had a temper, and God used all these men. It was all evil, but he used them in good ways. So don't put God in a box.
When they submitted themselves to God.
Correct. Did it make them perfect? By no means.
No one's perfect.
That is all I have. Anything you'd like to add? Anyone like to chime in?
Come on, this is y'all's turn. Any questions? Any comments? What do y'all think?
Requests? I mean that. I know that sounds like, if no one say Freebird, please.
Wagon wheel.
Wagon wheel.
Rocky Top.
If there is a topic that
Yes,
you want
Miss
us,
Beverly.
if there is a topic that you want us to cover, or that we may, I mean, even if we've covered it in the past, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we covered in our written format several years ago that I don't mind going back and revisiting in the live if we wanted, if anybody wants to do that or go more in depth and stuff. But there we go. If there's any topic you would like covered, I know Nick has given us a couple.
Has he? What
Yes,
has
he has.
Nick said?
Nick's, I think it was one of the last ones I wrote about. It was about the upside down cross. Was that a Hollywood thing, or was there some basis to that? Which, come to find out, the upside down cross is actually the Saint Petron, if I'm saying that right, cross, aka the cross of Saint Peter, because he requested to be crucified upside down so that he did not feel he was worthy to die the same way Jesus did. So there is actually a Christian backing of the upside down cross.
Easy.
What do you mean easy? A Christian origin to the upside down cross. What?
What?
What's your what? Beverly's giving us that pregnant pause. Well, I feel like something's coming.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Beverly. We'll sit here for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
In the meantime, did you see the doggy?
Let's give you a pause.
Oh,
Did she
she's
just...
sweet.
She meow? Ray Ray.
She's my doggy. She's camera shy.
She's been on camera most of the evening.
No, she hasn't.
Well, in your arms.
She's looking at you.
What
She
did
don't
you
like
do?
how you're talking to me.
I'm sorry, Dobby. I'm not talking to your mommy that way.
She's gonna eat your soul. Oh, she forgot.
No pressure.
That's okay.
I do it a lot. All right, so hope everyone has a great and blessed Thanksgiving coming up.
Anybody do anything special? Oh, excuse me. We may be doing some lives.
You take the words right out of my mouth. We're going on.
What does that mean, Leah?
We're going on vacation here in a couple of weeks, right?
Uh-huh. So we may be doing some lives from some haunted places.
Work, work, work.
Work, work.
Got plenty of that coming up. Oh, the peak season. Coming December 1st, we'll have, actually, will we be doing a live on December 1st?
Isn't that the movie night? You're not the last to know.
That is the movie night, isn't it? So we will not be live on December 1st.
We'll either be live on December 2nd
That's a Thursday, so that'll be
or November
30th.
30th. You're not the last to know. I told you we had to close the clinic down because I'm going to be gone. We talked about it.
Okay, y'all can have keep your personal work conversations off of our channel.
Hey, you shut your mouth. This is Beverly we're talking to. See? Shut his mouth.
But anyway, Leah's gonna have a great topic come December.
Probably not.
I'm waiting on her to outdo the Christmas one of 2 years ago. We could just redo that one, or we could just replay that one.
Best of.
Yeah, do the best of. We'll take December off and we'll replay that one because it is one of my personal favorites.
We'll have to get the Ghost of Christmas past, present, and future to dance for us again.
Oh, you're talking about redoing it. I was just talking about replaying.
He may have some new moves.
Right. I don't know if we're lucky. If I can talk to him and get a hold of him, we might actually have Santa. He said he'd show up.
Oh, dear. I know how this is going to turn. It will not be Santa, y'all.
I know him. I know him.
It'll be Darth Santa.
We had Yoda last year, Santa Yoda. And then the Spirits of Christmas Present.
Okay,
We gotta have somebody.
Santa, Civil War Santa all year round.
Say goodbye to the people, Leah.
Come back, Beauregard. You gotta write your letters.
But Miss Sylvia,
Back home.
I have to go back out to the field where the troops are.
Doesn't he look like a Civil War character? Yeah, there it is. Yes, there is a Vader Santa.
He appears every now and then. Beverly. Don't make me go get our Civil War picture where it's me and you, and I'll show everybody. We were still dating, and we went to Pigeon Forge and got one of the old-timey photos because, you know, that's what you do when you go to Pigeon Forge. And I did the Civil War get-up, and she was a Southern Belle. I'll post that later for y'all. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, we're going to wrap this up for this month. We will see you guys. Like she said, it'll probably be November 30th. If something changes, we'll put out an announcement. But November 30th will be our December live. So I'm going to step off so I can turn the camera off.
Yes, and we'll be on the lookout in the week of the 15th for any lives that we may post from our destinations.
Because anytime we do that, we never plan. We just, hey, let's go live.
Pretty much.
All right.
See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.